For 1,000 years, the world above forgot the name Kelthorion. Once he had been the Skybreaker, the eternal flame, the last of the primordial dragons who shaped the stars with their breath. But time is the thief of legends. Civilizations rose and fell, planets were colonized and abandoned, and wars reshaped the galaxy until even myths turned to dust. Deep beneath the shattered surface of a forgotten world, once called Elindra, Calthorian slept in a vault of obsidian stone in silent starlight, preserved in a trance older than any empire. The vault was meant never to be opened. Its seals were forged from runic matrices and quantum threads, guarded by celestial wards and ancient laws. Only a voice of true need, of desperation so pure it cut through time, could pierce the enchanted sleep of a primordial. And on a cold night lit by a fractured moon, such a voice whispered into the darkness. "Help me, please, someone, anyone." It was not loud. It did not echo. It was the quiet plea of a lost human girl stumbling through collapsed ruins, her breath shallow, her steps uneven. But the vault heard. The old magic stirred. And the dragon who had slept while planets burned and new ones were born opened his eyes. Her name was Lyra, 14 years old, small, fragile, trembling, beneath a torn coat that did little against the bitter wind. Her hair was tangled with dust and broken leaves. Her cheeks were streaked with dried tears. She had run far, farther than her thin legs should have allowed, through forests warped by radiation storms, past metallic skeletons of starships that lay half buried in the dirt. She had escaped the raiders only because they thought she had fallen off a cliff. Their laughter still echoed in her mind. But Lyra had not fallen. She had crawled, bruised and bleeding, into a narrow crevice that descended far deeper than she expected. The ground had given way beneath her, and she had tumbled through an ancient ventilation shaft, landing in a chamber so vast she could not see its ceiling. Her glow stick flickered out 20 minutes later. Now she walked in darkness, a darkness older than her species. Her voice, small and uncertain, trembled through the cavernous hall once more. "Please, I don't want to die here." The ground rumbled. Lyra froze. At first she thought it was an earthquake, but then the rumbling became rhythmic, like breaths. Deep, slow, ancient. And then she saw it, a pair of eyes opening in the dark. Twin suns, molten gold swirling with constellations. Her knees buckled. Something enormous shifted. Scales scraped against stone, sending ripples through the air. A warmth like the heart of a star washed over her, melting the cold from her bones. A voice, not spoken aloud, but resonating inside her skull, filled the air. "Little one, why do you weep in my domain?" Lyra swallowed, unable to form words. Her instinct screamed to run, but her legs wouldn't obey. The dragon's head emerged from the shadow, horns curved like obsidian crescents, scales shimmering with cosmic patterns. Each breath he exhaled filled the chamber with swirling embers. She forced herself to whisper, I didn't mean to enter your home. I was just trying to survive." The dragon's pupils narrowed. "Survive?" She nodded, tears pooling. The dragon leaned closer. Hot wind rushed around her. "Who hunts you, child?" Lyra's lips trembled. "Raiders! They killed my mother. They were going to take me. I ran. I just ran." The silence in the chamber deepened, thickened. Power rippled across Calthorian's scales. "Humans," he said, the words slow, curious as if returning from distant memory. "I have not spoken to one of your kind in a millennium." Lyra blinked up at him. "You're real, a dragon." "I am Calthorian," he replied, "last of the primordial flame, shaper of celestial seas, dreamer of aeons." Then his gaze softened. "And you summoned me from my 1,000-year slumber with a whisper." Lyra sank to her knees. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you." The dragon's voice curled around her mind like warm smoke. "Do not apologize, child. Only true desperation can pierce the sleeper's ward. Your cry was pure." His massive head dipped, lowering until his eye filled her vision. "You are not safe above. The world has changed," she nodded. "You may remain here," the dragon continued. I will not permit harm to reach you beneath my wings. For the first time since her mother's death, Lyra felt a fragile thread of hope. But hope never comes without danger. Because far above them, at the edge of the ruined forest, the raiders had found her trail again. And they were not alone. Captain Drevin of the Black Maw Syndicate spat on the ground as his trackers scanned the terrain. "She's alive," one grunted. "Blood on the rocks. Footprints heading toward the ruins." Drevin grinned, his cybernetic jaw clicking. "Good. The order pays extra for kids who don't break easily." One of the mercenaries shivered. "Sir, the ruins are forbidden territory. Nothing comes back out of there." Drevin grabbed the man by the collar. "Superstition is for peasants. She went in, so we go in." In the distance, ancient structures jutted out like fractured bones, temples of a civilization older than recorded history. But Draven did not fear the dead. He feared only power and profit, and the girl represented both. He signaled his men forward. Unbeknownst to them, each footstep echoed downward, carrying their presence to the ears of something far more dangerous than they could imagine. Far below, Calthorian raised his head suddenly. Lyra flinched. "What's wrong?" The dragon's nostrils flared. "Intruders." A growl like a collapsing star vibrated the chamber. "The scent of violence. Iron. Greed." Lyra paled. "The raiders..." Calthorian's eyes burned brighter. "They dare trespass upon the vault of the primordial flame." Heat crackled along his body, illuminating the entire cavern. Lyra shielded her face from the brilliance. She whispered, voice unsteady, "Are you going to kill them?" The dragon paused, his gaze turned thoughtful. "The laws of the ancient world bind me, yet I sense the truth in your heart. These men have spilled innocent blood." His wings unfurled, massive cosmic sails woven with starlight. "I will not allow them to harm you." Lyra nodded, though her hands trembled. "Thank you." Calthorian's chest glowed brighter, as if fire was swirling beneath his ribs. "Do not thank me yet, little one. Their presence means the world has grown darker in my absence." His head turned toward the ceiling, toward the distant echoes of boots on stone. "But let them come. Let them feel the breath of a sleeping god awakened." The chamber trembled around them. Lyra stepped backward as Calthorian lifted into the air, wings unfurling to their full kilometer-wide span. The dragon who once shaped the stars prepared to face the cruelty of men. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the world above would learn why even legends feared the primordial flame. The ascent through the vault's ancient tunnels stirred currents of warm air, swirling around Calthorian's colossal form. His wings brushed against the curved stone walls, shedding cascading sparks of molten light that drifted to the floor like lazy fireflies. Lyra followed on foot, dwarfed by the enormity of the dragon ahead of her. Each beat of his wings created a low thunder that vibrated through her bones. Despite the heat radiating from him, she shivered. "Calthorian," she called softly. The dragon slowed just enough for his head to turn, one vast golden eye capturing her reflection. "Yes, little one? Are you sure you should fight them? You only just woke up." Calthorian's laughter was a deep, rolling sound that seemed to shake the air itself. "When I slept during the War of Suns, I defeated an armada moments after awakening." His eye softened. "Fear not for me. Fear only for those who seek to harm you." Lyra swallowed, not sure if the reassurance comforted her or frightened her more. As they traveled upward, the tunnels grew tighter. The carvings on the walls, once pristine artistry of the long-forgotten Elendran civilization, had cracked and broken over centuries. Lyra ran her fingers over them, feeling raised spirals, symbols shaped like stars, wings, fire, and a language she did not recognize. "What is this place?" she asked. Calthorian answered without slowing. "A sanctuary, a prison, a tomb. This vault was built by those who once served me." He paused briefly, voice lowering. "They feared the world would not be ready for my return." Lyra walked faster to keep up. "Why did you go to sleep in the first place?" The dragon's wings tucked slightly as he passed beneath a low arch. His voice deepened. "Because the galaxy burned." A wave of sadness flickered through their link. Men fought gods. Stars were extinguished, And when I saw the madness of mortals, I chose slumber over destruction. Lyra frowned. Are humans really that terrible? Kelthorian stopped. The sudden halt of a creature larger than a starship sent a tremor through the ground. He lowered his head until his nose nearly touched her. No, not all. One human girl woke me with a whisper that carried no greed or ambition. Lyra blushed, looking at the floor. I didn't do anything. Your heart did. A breath of warmth washed over her. And that is enough. Before she could reply, a metallic clang echoed from above, distant but unmistakable. Calthorian's head snapped upward. They have breached the outer hall. The dragon unfurled his wings fully, their cosmic membranes illuminating the dark tunnel. Stay close, little one. The raiders entered the ruins with weapons drawn. Drevin led the way, his cybernetic eyes scanning the dust-clogged entry hall. The massive stone doors behind them, engraved with spirals and dragon sigils, slammed shut as soon as the last man stepped through. Several soldiers jumped, raising their rifles. What was that? One barked. It's just old machinery, another muttered. Place is full of ancient tech. Drevin smirked. Exactly. And ancient tech means ancient treasure. The men spread out, boots crunching against the detritus of a civilization lost to time. But the deeper they went, the more their confidence wavered. Strange lights flickered on the walls, symbols glowing faintly, pulsing as though recognizing intruders. Some shapes shifted when viewed from the corner of the eye. Others whispered wordless tones vibrating inside the skull. Sir, one soldier whispered, I think this place is alive. Draven laughed sharply. Buildings aren't alive, you fool. But he kept his hand close to his plasma rifle. The group proceeded cautiously down a wide passage supported by curved pillars. The air grew warmer, thicker, tasting faintly of ozone and ash. A tracker crouched, examining the dust. Footprint, he said. Small ones. Human. Someone came this way recently. Another man pointed his scanner deeper into the ruins. Heat signatures. 2 of them moving. Drevin's eyes gleamed. One's the girl. The other... He paused, frowning. The readout fluctuated wildly, swinging between ice-cold and impossibly hot. Either the scanner is malfunctioning, or something down there is enormous. Before anyone could respond, a dull boom echoed through the tunnels. Then another, each louder, closer. The raiders froze. Something massive was approaching. Dravan lifted his hand. Weapons up. Defensive formation. His men complied, rifles raised, flashlights cutting through the dark. The rhythmic thunder continued, growing stronger, deeper, like the heartbeat of a planet. One soldier whispered, Sir, what if the stories are true? What if... He never finished, because at that moment the ceiling above them cracked. A shower of dust fell, and then a second boom, louder than anything before, shook the hall. Something roared, something not human. Kelthorian reached the final barrier, a massive metal door sealed by both ancient magic and advanced technology. Lyra stood behind him, trembling as the echoes of the raiders' voices drifted down the tunnel. Are they close? She whispered. Too close, the dragon replied, and they will not stop until they find you. His body pulsed with inner heat. Stand back. Lyra obeyed immediately. Kelthorian inhaled. The air around them bent with gravitational force as energy gathered within his chest, a swirling fusion of primordial flame and cosmic matter. Then, Fwom! He exhaled a stream of blue-white fire that struck the barrier with the fury of a collapsing star. The metal vaporized, runes melted, walls shook. The door exploded outward in molten fragments. Lyra shielded her face from the wave of heat. Through the smoke, down the hallway, she saw flickering lights, flashlights, men, armed, coming. Kelthorian lowered his head. Stay behind me, Lyra? The dragon stepped through the melted threshold. The raiders were advancing cautiously down the main hall when the temperature spiked. Why is it getting hot? One man growled, tugging at his collar. Dravan ignored him, tightening his grip on his rifle. Another boom shook the structure. Sir! A lookout shouted. Something, Something's burning through the lower doors. A tremor ran through the floor, then another. Then silence. A dead, heavy silence. Drevin gestured sharply. Get ready. They aimed their weapons forward, and then the darkness ahead ignited with blinding blue-white flame. A tidal wave of heat ripped through the hall, knocking several men off their feet. And from the fire emerged a shape so vast it swallowed the entire passage. Horned, winged, golden eyes burning like miniature suns. A dragon. Gasps, screams, prayers, all tangled together. What is that? Someone cried. Drevin's jaw clicked as he whispered, horrified, a myth. Calthorian stepped forward, claws cracking stone. You tread upon sacred ground. His voice boomed through the hall, shaking ancient pillars. Leave now, or be ash. Drevin, though trembling, raised his weapon. We're armed, he yelled. Stay back. Calthorian's head tilted. So are stars. And with that, he unleashed a roar that split the air, ancient, cosmic, filled with millennia of slumber and unspent fury. The raiders broke. Some fled. Some fired wildly. Plasma shots splashed harmlessly against the dragon's scales. Calthorian inhaled again. Lyra screamed, Wait! The dragon froze mid-breath. Lyra ran into the open, standing between him and the terrified men. Please don't kill them all, she cried. Not if you don't have to. Calthorian stared at her, shocked. The raiders stared too. Drevin snarled, Kid, get out of the way! Calthorian's eyes flared dangerously, but Lyra raised her hands. Calthorian, I don't want more death because of me. The dragon lowered his head, exhaling slowly. You ask mercy for those who showed you none. They're still human, she whispered. Calthorian's gaze softened painfully. Yes, he murmured, and so was the child who woke a god. He turned slightly, shielding Lyra with his wings. Raiders, he thundered. Leave, now. Take your wounded, and never return. Most fled in terror. But Drevin's fear twisted into hatred. He lifted his plasma rifle, aimed it directly at Lyra, and fired. The Calthorian moved, fast as lightning, faster. He twisted his body, wings snapping inward, claws slamming into the ground. And the shot, meant for Lyra, struck his scales instead. A small burn mark, nothing more. Calthorian lifted his head, slowly, deliberately. His eyes were no longer golden. They were white. White like the core of a newborn sun. Every raider still in the hall froze in place, unable to move under the weight of that gaze. Drevin stepped back, choking on his breath. What are you? Calthorian's voice was barely above a whisper, but it was more terrifying than any roar. You fired upon the child under my protection. The ground trembled beneath him. You will not receive a second chance. Drevin fled, but didn't make it 3 steps. With a flick of Calthorian's tail, the raider captain was slammed into a pillar, unconscious. The remaining raiders threw down their weapons. Calthorian exhaled once, just once, and a gust of heat sent their guns melting into the floor. Then he turned back to Lyra, lowered his enormous head, and said, in a voice filled with something ancient and sorrowful, I will not fail you again. Lyra touched his warm snout gently. You didn't fail me. But deep within Calthorian's chest, something stirred, an old wound reopening, an old vow reigniting. The dragon had slept for 1,000 years. Now he was awake, and the galaxy was about to remember why the primordial flame had once been feared by empires and gods alike. The hall still glowed faintly from the heat of Calthorian's fire. Stone pillars steamed. Molten metal pooled along the cracked floor. The stench of scorched weapons and panic lingered in the air. Yet in the center of the devastation, Lyra stood with her hand resting against the dragon's warm snout, breathing hard but alive. Are you hurt? She whispered. Calthorian's eyes softened. swallowing their furious white glow back into a deep, molten gold. "No harm has reached me," he replied, "but they aimed at you, little one." His voice trembled with something unfamiliar, something that felt dangerously close to fear. Lyra nodded shakily. "I know, but you protected me." The dragon lowered his head further, so low that the tips of his horns scraped the stone. "I swore to the cosmic winds that the innocent under my care would never fall to cruelty. When you cried for help, you bound me with that vow once more." Lyra blinked. "Vow?" Calthorian exhaled slowly, wings folding. "A promise made in an age before your ancestors learned to speak." She sat on a broken slab, rubbing her bruised shoulder. "What promise?" For a long moment the dragon did not answer. Memories flickered through him like dying stars. Wars, children, shattered worlds, and the weight of a promise he had once broken. Finally his voice emerged, low and heavy. "That no child would die in my presence?" Lyra froze, sensing a sadness far older than recorded history. Calthorian continued. "Long ago, during the Celestial Rift War, a human child sought refuge with me as you did now. She was brave, kind, and full of light." His eyelids lowered. "But I failed her, and the galaxy burned for my shame." Lyra's chest tightened. "What happened to her?" Calthorian lifted his head. The sorrow in his eyes was endless. "She was taken, and when I reached her, I was too late." The cavern dimmed, as if the very light remembered the tragedy. Lyra whispered, "You won't fail me." The dragon turned his gaze toward her, powerful, ancient, and fragile all at once. "No," he said softly, "I will not." Outside, deeper in the ruins, the surviving raiders scrambled in disarray. Those still conscious dragged their injured through the labyrinth of stone corridors, desperate to escape. They soon discovered the doors they entered through were sealed by the vault's ancient mechanisms. No weapon could crack the stone. No code could decipher the runic locks. "We're trapped," one man panicked. "It's a tomb!" Another soldier punched a pillar in frustration. "Forget the girl. Forget the treasure. I just want out." Drebin slumped against a cracked wall, dazed but conscious again. Blood trickled from his scalp. "Shut up," he rasped. "All of you." His remaining cybernetic eye whirred, scanning the hall with glitching accuracy. "That thing, that monster." His voice shook with a mixture of fury and terror. "It protected her. Human girl. Small. Weak. And that god creature shielded her." He clenched his fists. "That means she's valuable. More valuable than we thought." The others stared, horrified. "You want to go back down there?" one stammered. "No," Drebin spat. "There's a bigger opportunity." His eye flickered, projecting a map overlay. "Somebody out there, government, corporation, cult, doesn't matter, will pay a fortune to know a dragon still exists. The last of its kind." Silence swept the group. Drebin grinned through his bruised face. "We're going to capture it." A few men laughed nervously, thinking it a joke. But Draven wasn't smiling. Back in the lower vault, Calthorian guided Lyra deeper into his ancient domain. The warm glow of his scales cast long shadows against mural-covered walls. Artwork depicting dragons soaring between galaxies, forging stars, battling titanic entities made of void. Lyra's steps slowed as she stared up at the towering images. You did all this?" Calthorian paused before a mural showing him spiraling around a newborn star, fire dripping from his claws like liquid sunlight. "These depict the acts of my kin," he corrected softly. "We were many once. 1,000 dragons who shaped the universe with breath and flame." His gaze darkened. "Now I am the last." Lyra touched the mural gently. "I'm sorry." The dragon gave a long, low rumble that might have been gratitude. "You are but a spark in the cosmos, little one. Yet your kindness warms an old heart." She smiled faintly. Before she could ask more, Calthorian's head snapped toward the upper tunnels. "They have not fled," he growled. "They plot." Lyra tensed. "Are they coming back?" Calthorian's scales brightened with warning heat. "No. They gather strength. They whisper of capturing me." Lyra's eyes widened. Capture you? How? You're a godling of creation? He finished dryly. Humans have captured greater. The admission hung heavy. What should we do? Calthorian lowered himself until his massive body formed a protective half-circle around her. You will rest. But you have been hunted, wounded, frightened, without food or sleep. She blinked. I'm fine. Your voice trembles, your heart races. You are not fine. He gestured with one wing. A platform of ancient stone rose from the floor, molded by forgotten technology. Soft, luminescent moss, warm and feather-like, covered the top. Lyra stared. It's a bed? Calthorian rumbled. A nest, in your tongue. He nudged her gently toward it. Rest, little one. You are safe here. Lyra climbed onto the moss. It embraced her like a weighted blanket. For the first time in days, her eyelids grew heavy. Calthorian curled around her, his wing forming an arch above, like the ceiling of a cathedral. Calthorian? She murmured, voice soft. Yes? Why are you being so kind to me? The dragon paused. Then, because long ago, I failed a child like you. Lyra, half asleep, laid her hand on his scales. You won't fail this time, she whispered. Calthorian closed his eyes. No, he said, ancient voice trembling. I will tear the stars apart before I let anyone harm you. Within minutes, Lyra drifted into deep sleep, but Calthorian did not rest. He raised his head, staring toward the passage where Draven still lingered above. His voice was a whisper of cosmic fire. You have awakened a god, men of iron. I have endured wars that shattered galaxies. You think to capture me? His pupils narrowed into slits. Come then, let me show you what became of the last who tried. Above, Draven stood with a salvage detonator strapped to his wrist. Thick cables connected it to a crude portable thermal emitter, a mining laser-turned weapon. This thing can cut through battleship hull, he bragged. If it bleeds, we can kill it. But sir, one soldier whispered, what if it doesn't bleed? Draven grinned. Then we learn what else it does. A distant rumble shook the ground. The raiders froze. What was that? Another tremor, louder. Then, boom, boom, boom. Footsteps, enormous footsteps. Draven's eyes widened. Positions, spread out. Lights flickered overhead. Dust fell. The air thickened with heat. A deep, ancient voice rolled through the halls like thunder. Raiders of iron and greed. The walls themselves vibrated. You should have fled when mercy was offered. The raiders huddled together in terror. Where is it? Where? A gust of scorching wind blasted through the corridor. A shadow swallowed the passage. And then, Calthorian emerged from the smoke. Wings unfurled, sighs filling the entire hallway, eyes blazing like molten suns. The raiders broke. Draven did not. He raised the detonator. Fire! The thermal emitter unleashed a searing beam of concentrated energy, white-hot, screaming through the air like a lance of pure lightning. It struck Calthorian directly in the chest. The room exploded with light. Stone pillars shattered. The ceiling cracked. Heat waves rippled outward, knocking soldiers off their feet. Smoke swallowed everything. When it cleared, Calthorian stood unmoved. The beam hadn't pierced him, hadn't burned him, hadn't even scratched him. The primordial dragon lowered his gaze. That was your weapon? Draven stepped back, horror twisting his face. Calthorian inhaled. The air warped. Energy condensed like a newborn star forming in his throat. This is mine. Lyra, woken by the tremors, ran into the hall just in time to see the dragon unleash a burst of stellar fire that lit the ruins like dawn. When it ended, the raiders' weapons were gone. Their courage was gone. Draven himself lay paralyzed, staring up at the being he had tried to kill. Calthorian approached him slowly. You harmed my child, Lyra gasped. Cal, he stopped, looked back at her. You are under my protection. That makes you mine to guard. Lyra's cheeks warmed. Draven screamed as the dragon's shadow engulfed him. Calthorian lowered his head, voice rumbling with finality. You will not harm her again. Far above the ruins, unseen by any of them, a satellite blinked. It had been dormant for centuries, but the surge of cosmic energy awakened it. A beam shot upward, slicing through clouds, transmitting a signal across star systems. Somewhere in deep space, something ancient heard the call. Something that once hunted dragons. Something coming. Arathion felt the girl's final heartbeat weakening, a trembling flicker against his talon as she lay beneath him. Ilara's small frame was shaking, her breasts thin and fading. Around them, the ruins of the Celeste Forge shuddered as the living darkness, the umbrash, rose in spiraling towers. Their whispers chanted in jagged tongues, celebrating the return of their dominion. Arathion, Ilara whispered, barely audible. Don't let them take the world. For the first time in 1,000 years, fear, real primal fear, stabbed the dragon's heart. Not fear of death, the fear of losing her. The girl who had woken him, the girl who saved him, the girl whose courage rekindled a god's ancient fire. Arathion lowered his head. I will not fail you. He unfurled his wings, vast luminous curtains of starlight, and roared a word that had not been spoken since the age when dragons shaped constellations. Solarium. The world went white. A dome of burning radiance exploded from the dragon's chest, dissolving shadows in an expanding ring of annihilation. The umbrash shrieked, melting into vapor. Their armies evaporated like ink dropped onto a flame. But the source of the shadow still remained. The umbral sovereign, a colossal mass of void and hunger, rising behind the shattered spire. You cannot destroy what was never alive, it hissed. You cannot win, last star dragon. Arathion stepped forward, wings arched over Ilara protectively. Perhaps, but I can end you. The sovereign lunged first. The dragon answered with fire, not ordinary flame, but nova fire. White at the core, gold at the edge, the kind that burned in the heart of newborn suns. The clash cracked the sky. The sovereign's shadows wrapped around Arathion's throat, ripping scales, piercing flesh. But Arathion drove his claws deep into the void's core, ripping out tendrils of darkness. The battlefield became a whirl of starlight and shadow storms. The world was breaking. Ilara forced herself upright, blood running from her side, her vision fragmented. She saw Arathion staggering, the sovereign strangling his celestial heart, suffocating the fire of creation inside him. Arathion, she screamed. He heard her. Her voice, small, fragile, human, cut through the billion-year void like a blade of truth. The dragon turned his gaze toward her, and in her eyes he found not fear, but belief. Ilara placed her trembling hand on the glowing floor sigil, the Heart Forge rune, a rune made for beings like him, but powered by souls like hers. Take it, she said, my strength, my life, whatever you need, just finish this. Ilara, no, please, let me save something too. In that moment, something impossible happened. The rune accepted her. Light erupted around the girl, lifting her into the air. Her heartbeat synchronized with Arathion's, the rhythm deepening, strengthening, becoming a unified pulse that shook the dying spire. Human and dragon, synchronized. Two souls merged in purpose. The sovereign recoiled. No, that link should be impossible. She is human. Arathion smiled, not with his mouth, but with his flames. That, he said, is why it works. The world exploded. A pillar of incandescent starfire shot upward, slicing through clouds, splitting the heavens open. Arathion ascended with Ilara suspended at the center of the radiance, her hair blazing like silver wildfire. He roared one final spell, the first and last time a dragon and human ever cast a unified incantation. Stellar Ascension! The starfire beam swallowed the sovereign whole. Its scream shook the universe. Then it was gone, unwritten from existence. Silence. The darkness retreated like a dying tide. The land inhaled. Light returned. Arathion descended slowly, the glow fading from his wings. The rune released Ilara gently into his waiting claws. She was barely breathing. Ilara, he whispered, voice cracking like ancient stone. Stay with me. Her fingers reached up and touched the dragon's muzzle. Her smile was tired but peaceful. You woke for me, she whispered. I lived for this. Her hand slipped, her eyes closed, her chest went still. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Arathion bowed his head over her lifeless body, a dragon god trembling with sorrow. His tears, liquid starlight, fell onto her skin, glowing where they touched. Then, a flicker. Her chest rose once, twice. Her eyes opened, dazed but alive. Arathion, the dragon choked in disbelief. My fire heals. It is yours now. Your courage bound us beyond death. Ilara smiled weakly. I guess I borrowed a little of your magic. He lowered his head so she could rest against him. You may keep it, he said. Together they stepped into the newborn dawn. The war was over. The last shadow was gone. A dragon's millennia of loneliness had ended, and the world would forever remember the girl who awakened to God and the dragon who chose humanity. The Kurishunachan